What's up, guys? The Lazy Goldmaker here. Today I thought I'd talk about the one way, or rather the way to get really, really rich in WoW. There's one defining factor that has been the case for a very long time. If you want extraordinary results, there's only one thing to do. And generally, it's not what you're doing right now. It's not watching YouTube videos to find out what's a good gold making method. You need to blaze your own trail. So by the time anything makes it to YouTube, the absolute tippy top profits are usually gone. There are still many markets that are good profit, decent profit, but they're not going to be gold cap in a day or, I mean, if I open my TSM graph and we go back in time a bit, they're not going to be, actually it doesn't go back that far. It's not going to be like the launch of the Pog Essence pack, which was the final patch of Shadowlands, where I made 40 million in a month. You're not going to see that by just following YouTube guides or whatever, learning from other people. You need to find those markets yourself. Less competition. If you can find a market yourself before everyone else does, that's going to be significantly less competition. And it's going to be a lot more profit. Generally speaking, most of the good gold makers in the game and people who make content about gold also know this. So it depends a little bit on what they care the most about. It's like, do they care about making gold more than they care about, like, I mean, obviously the real world gold you get from potentially making big on YouTube. But then again, you need to be rich to be believable on YouTube, which is the other side of the coin. Most likely, anything that's published to YouTube will have had the top profit for that will be in the past. So you need to find those methods yourself, which means to look at prices, to test stuff on the PTR, put in the effort to get ahead of your competition wherever possible. So this means grinding knowledge, doing acuity shuffles, and sinking millions of gold into materials at the beginning of Shadowlands to get the rank 4 legendaries. So this is what you're looking for. Now, how do you find a market that's going to be like that? There's been multiple markets like that with the addition of profession knowledge. The kind of advantage you can have over other players is really huge, and a lot bigger, at least for very time limited portions at the beginning of expansions. You can have a much larger knowledge gap towards other players, and we're not talking profession knowledge, just like knowledge about how your professions function and having a better build in your competition, which is going to be potentially gaining you millions and millions of gold in a short period of time, just selling into the region-wide auction house, which is extremely fast moving. So this means you need to do research, but what kind of research do you need to do? Well, obviously you need to figure out what items people are going to buy. So what are the good items going to be? I mean, some of them are going to be obvious, like high-level materials. But then you have consumables, gear. You need to figure out which gear is people going to craft. What are the best what are the best slots to craft for? What are are there any specific embellishments that are the best ones? Which specific consumables are the best ones? So these is where you look at class discords, where you look at Wowhead guides, where you look at high-end players and their streams, trying to figure out what items they're going for. We've had some extreme gold rushers in the past, some of which were more obvious than others. Like you had the ring, or I think it was a ring. In Dragonflight, there was a crafted embellished piece that was the best for pretty much every class in the game. And the recipe was really expensive, hard to get. So people who got that recipe, they could get 40 million gold in crafting fees in a day if they were just spamming all day. It was absolutely wild. Then before that you had the Shadowlands legendaries, which was absolutely crazy, which wasn't that hard to predict. Everyone knew that everyone needed a legendary, but when everyone needs the same item, then the profit potential is going to be there, and it's going to be a large. Now the other side of the coin is figuring out all of the stuff you need to know to what's going to be profitable, and this is particularly important with the knowledge trees. because there's a lot of items that have, or a lot of processes that have random results. So you have stuff, well, I don't have that on this character. Well, actually we do. We have the sorting through the pilfer through parts to get the various materials for the crafted mount. This was like really big if you did the math early and you invested tons of stuff into thorium at the beginning of the War Within. That was an absolutely massive market, but you needed to have tested this on the PTR and figured out like what's the profitable rate, or like what's the rate of the various things you can get from that, and what are the items you can pilfer, and what are the differences in what you're getting out of them, and then obviously having the right skill build to do that. So more than any time in the past, like being on the PTR, spending a decent amount of time on the PTR to test stuff is going to give you a significant advantage, particularly in the first patch of an expansion. It's going to be a lot less now because generally they don't make like sweeping changes to professions after the first patch. But on the first patch, like if you put your 50, 100 knowledge points in a better build than your competition, you're going to have a insurmountable advantage for the first week or two, which is when profits are the highest. So you really want to be spending time testing on the PTR, which means testing out different skill builds. So you want to like fill out the skill build, see the cheapest way you can get to quality 3 for items, or how hard is it to get to quality 3. Then you want to see like what's the best way to fill out your profession gear, and then you want to figure out like what are the rates if you're doing prospecting or milling or something with random results. How much are you getting output? What's the impact on skill on the output? This data generally eventually is available. Some of it gets posted early by some nice people to WoW Economy or whatever. But if you want to have this in time to really make gold with it, you need to generate this sort of knowledge yourself. There is no way around that. That is the only way you can have like a significant knowledge gap that isn't just like collapsed right away. Because we're all selling into the same auction house, we're all selling into the same region for most of the items we sell. There isn't really any meaningful gear crafting to be done that you can sell as BOEs. They've had that in the past. So generally speaking, what we're looking at in retail right now is that you're trying to get to a point where you are significantly more profitable on something you sell into the region-wide auction house than your competition, which means that you can capture really, really like disproportionately large portion of the sales. Because there's just very few people who can compete with you on price. So you're selling it at a price where like maybe there's 10 people on the region, 20 people on the region who can compete with you right now at those prices, which means that you're okay even if you're just doubling your gold, you're getting a massive piece of the business of what's going through the auction house. So that's sort of what you'll be looking for, and this is sort of right now there aren't going to be any opportunities to find these kinds of markets, but as we go into the next expansion eventually, there's going to be, and there's obviously we might see more changes or more new recipes that have a larger impact on the markets compared to what we saw in the Undermine patch, which didn't add anything too massive to really give you that edge that you can generate. But obviously like being prepared for the right items and just having a lot of concentration crafters or crafters ready to sell flasks and all of that jazz as people crash back into the raid is obviously going to give you a nice profit as well. But we didn't have that like crazy potential of like, yeah, this one market is going to give you gold cap in a day potential. But we might see that again, or we will see that again with the new expansion. And if you want to be prepared, then you need to do the preparation yourself on the PTR and crawling through the WoW community wherever it gathers to figure out what the right items to targetize, and then do your own testing to find the best ways of crafting them. So yeah, that's the big secret, guys. That's the big secret of how people get obscenely rich. They do a lot of legwork that not everyone else does, and then based on that, they can find a niche that no one else or very few other people find, and then they get to occupy that by themselves for a little while and reap the rewards. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.